listening to the Ballroom Network. The following program is intended for all audiences. Welcome to the Fantasy Football Goon Podcast with your hosts, Joe Mandel, the Goon, and the man with the plan, Adam Schaum. We're bringing you the fantasy football knowledge that you need every single week.
Derrick Henry still going. Stays in bounds. He might go. 99 yards for the touchdown. Unbelievable.
Flushed out again all the way back. Turning the corner. Fires downfield. Caught. Touchdown. Only Mahomes turns what might have been a 15-yard sack into a 27-yard touchdown.
Saquon Barkley across midfield, down the sideline, staying in bounds, and Barkley takes it all the way. 68 yards for his first NFL touchdown. McCaffrey right up the middle, and he is gone for the touchdown. 58 yards. Pass is to Thomas. He's gone. Touchdown Saints.
Okay, it's time for the easiest part of any coach's job, the cut. Now, while I wasn't able to cut everyone I wanted to, I have cut a lot of you. Steven, I like your hustle. That's why it was so hard to cut you. Congratulations, the rest of you made the team. Except you, and you.
God bless fantasy football. There are many things a man can do with his time. And this, better than those things.
Welcome to the Fantasy Football Goon Show. My name is Aldo Gandia. I am not Joe Mandel, although I look a little bit like him. But the handsome gentleman on the screen is Adam Schaum. Adam, how are you?
I'm doing great this morning, Aldo. Thanks for joining in and filling in for Joe this morning, and look forward to talking some fantasy with you.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Now, we're going to do a super high-octane version of the Fantasy Football Goon Show because we only have 30 minutes in which to answer your questions and to share Adam's starts, sits, sleepers, and go through Joe's because he submitted those before he went off to take care of some family business. So you want to get started right away?
Let's do it.
All right. I'm going to just let people know the bye weeks this week. So if you've got any players in your lineup from the Browns, the Titans, the Panthers, and the Packers, you better find somebody else because none of those guys are playing.
Yeah, hopefully you prepared for that and been hitting the waiver wire this week or been prepared in advance for that. So a lot of good players missing off those teams as well. Obviously, Packers with Rodgers and Adams, and the Browns, you're missing Nick Chubb, and Panthers haven't been too much of a bright spot for many teams with Christian McCaffrey hurt almost all year. So same with the Titans, so many injuries right now. But hopefully everybody's prepared for those. And I believe this will be the last week of the byes. And no, there is one more. I believe the Eagles have one next week, and
right,
maybe one more team. But almost through it all and ready for the playoffs.
And most leagues, their trade deadlines have gone by, but there are some leagues that have extended it a week or so. And I got to say, if you have Aaron Rodgers on your lineup, on your team, and you've got a good backup, would you entertain trading Aaron Rodgers, given that in most leagues, he ranks around the 12th highest scoring quarterback in fantasy football? What's your take on that, Adam?
I would consider it if I have a decent backup, even it might sound crazy, but even somebody like Taysom Hill we saw the other night for the Saints, he's nowhere near the quarterback Aaron Rodgers is, obviously, but we saw him rush for 100 yards the other night. He's going to get you points with his legs. There's guys like that you could easily make up the points there with what you could acquire in a trade for someone like Aaron Rodgers. So, yeah, if you have a great backup, you got to consider all options here at the last minute before that deadline hits.
Yeah, there you go. All right. So what we're going to go through is the starts and sits of the week. And so if you've got questions, load them up. We'll get to them before we sign off at the top of the hour here. Let's start with Adam's starts of the week at the quarterback position. Adam, take it away.
All right. Although, first off, I like Derek Carr this week for the Las Vegas Raiders going against the Washington football team. They've struggled to defend anybody against the pass this year. Even though they are playing a lot better offensively, their defense is still very mediocre at best. Derek Carr is one of the top 5 in the league in passing yards, and I look for him to really throw a lot versus this team. Look for Hunter Renfrow to be involved. I really like Derek Carr again versus Washington football team. Another guy I seem to mention quite often this year is Kirk Cousins. Never thought I'd say that, but man, he's been so consistent for fantasy this year. He always gets it done. He's playing against a terrible Detroit defense today. We saw Andy Dalton throw for 300 yards last week. There's no doubt Kirk Cousins can do that and easily get you 18, 20 fantasy points and keep you very safe for the week. Another guy, maybe my favorite quarterback in the NFL right now, is Justin Herbert. I'm very looking forward to this game between Herbert and Joe Burrow facing off for the first time. These guys are the future of the NFL, in my opinion, right here. And I can't wait to see this Bengals Chargers game. But Herbert, man, he just does it all with his arm. He can get it done with his legs. If the defense drops back and plays man coverage, we saw him really take advantage of that a week ago where he rushed for almost 100 yards himself. Herbert just makes big plays, and he's just a very solid player. I love all these guys this week and really look forward to that Chargers-Bengals game.
I cannot argue with you on any of your top 3 picks. Let's go over to Joe's starts of the week. Check this out. He's got Cousins and he's got Kyler Murray. Guess who has both of those quarterbacks on their roster? I do.
Yeah, I know you do. You've got quite a good team.
Thanks. Well, I'm not winning as many games as I should. Partly it's because I've made mistakes as to who to start and who to sit. But so help me out here. Pretend you're not in the league that I play in.
Right.
Who would you start if you were me, Cousins or Kyler Murray?
Man, that's really a tough call because it's hard to ever not play Kyler if he's healthy. But at the same time, Cousins has been so safe. And I would say, I don't remember your matchup exactly this week, but if you're favored to win by quite a bit, I would play Kirk Cousins as a safe bet. If it looks like it could be close and you might need the bigger upside play, Kyler Murray's your guy. So I kind of base that on what the matchup is you're against and how, I don't know if your opponent maybe had any players play on Thursday or not.
It did not.
That's kind of what I would base that on.
Ezekiel Elliott has been such a disappointment for me this year. It's like, and I crossed my fingers when I drafted him because I had a sense that he wasn't going to have the type of season he's had in the past. But be that as it may, that's my problem. But thanks for your advice on that. Joe also has Matthew Stafford going up against the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I couldn't agree with him more. Stafford should put up some big numbers. The only thing that might stop them is getting off to a fast lead, a quick, strong lead, and taking the foot off the pedal the rest of the game. That's my only concern with Stafford against Jacksonville. Any other thoughts on Joe's starts of the week at quarterback, Adam?
No, not really. I agree with what you said there about Stafford. He's obviously a great play unless they get out way ahead, and then they could slow things down.
All right, let's go over to your starts of the week at the running back position. And I got to tell you, I am in love with Elijah Mitchell, man. That guy has been something special all year. Take it away, Adam.
Yeah, Elijah Mitchell, definitely a great play this week. He has been a workhorse for the 49ers ever since he got that job when Raheem Mostert went down in training camp or week 1. And Elijah Mitchell, I mean, he's consistently seeing close to 25 carries a game. Today he gets the worst rush defense in the NFL, basically. So, I mean, you're firing up Elijah Mitchell with extreme confidence today. Another guy I love, been saying for the last 2 weeks, Antonio Gibson. He was banged up earlier in the year and disappointed a lot of people. He's come out of that bye week and is just, I mean, dominating the touches there in Washington. He had 36 touches last week with 29 carries and 7 receptions. Today, J.D. McKissick's going to be out of the game. So I look for Antonio Gibson to be even more involved in the passing game and have a monster game today versus the Raiders. And another guy that we've been down on all year is Miles Sanders. But I think if there's ever a week for Miles Sanders to break out, this is it. He gets a terrible Jets defense. Boston Scott's banged up. Jordan Howard's banged up. He should get the bulk of the carries this week. And when he has run the ball, he's been extremely effective. So it's just up to them utilizing him properly. And I think today's the day Miles Sanders gets his 100 yards and a touchdown.
And then Joe has two of the same three players that you have, Elijah Mitchell and Antonio Gibson. And by the way, these guys do not confer during the week. They submit their starts and sits during the week, and then they're hermetically sealed. They don't see them until Sunday morning. It's interesting when you guys have the same starts and the same sits. The one difference here is that Joe does have Alexander Madison going up against Detroit. Obvious that Dalvin Cook is not playing Madison in those times where he's had to fill in for Cook. He's had good games. He's a good young running back. I think this is his third year now. Any thoughts on Madison going up against the Lions?
It's a great play, no doubt. He's been very effective in the past when Dalvin Cook has been out. They've barely missed Dalvin Cook. Not to say he's the same as good of a player, but he fills right in for the job and gets it done for them. So that's a great play again versus Detroit. So gotta love that.
All right, we move now to Adam starts of the week at the wide receiver position. I wish I had one of these guys in my lineup today because my wide receiver depth chart has been hammered because of injuries. Adam, take it away.
All right, Jalen Waddle, man, he's the guy we liked in the preseason. He was one of my preseason favorite sleepers as a rookie. He's come in, and he is just getting double-digit targets almost every week, especially with Tua playing. And Tua's been under the radar, a really consistent quarterback this year. He hasn't gotten credit for as well as he's actually played. Miami's red hot right now as well. I look for them to really put it on the Giants today with one of our favorite quarterbacks, Mike Glennon, behind center for the Giants. I think Miami's going to really, really put it on them. So I look for Waddle to get his usual 9-10 targets and 7-8 catches probably, and hopefully get in the end zone. Another guy, Michael Pittman, we've seen him be dominant early in the year. He's had a few down weeks here lately, but in a matchup with Houston, I think it's going to be kind of a shootout type of game. Houston and the Colts tend to play really good games together. I look for Pittman to put up close to 100 yards today and get back on track the way he was the first 9 or 10 weeks of the year. And then a guy that hasn't done a lot this season, Chase Claypool for the Steelers. Steelers offense is not what it used to be by any means. Big Ben's arm has just dwindled by the week, it seems. However, Baltimore has given up the most explosive plays in the NFL this year. They're 32nd in the league in pass yards. I think this is a chance Claypool gets deep on him and has one of those big plays, gets in the end zone and can really get you what you need in one play today. But Claypool should have a big game. These are guys I really like today.
I got to tell you about Big Ben. He announced that he's going to retire at the end of the season. What he does not know, I guess, is that his body retired him quite some time ago.
Yeah. I look for Mitch Trubisky to be their quarterback next year.
Wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't that be something? Mike North, who is a huge Mitch Trubisky fan, would love to see that. We'll keep an eye on that. Joe starts of the week at the wide receiver position. Got to tell you, Van Jefferson against Jacksonville, I think is a great play. He is now being targeted heavily, and he had one less target than Cooper Kupp last week, so he's definitely a guy to keep an eye on. And then he's also got Devontae Smith against the Jets and Hunter Renfrow versus the Washington football team. Any thoughts on any of these three guys?
Love all these guys, really big target monsters here, as you mentioned with Van Jefferson last week, and sounds like Odell Beckham's a little banged up this week. So they could need Jefferson even more. So these are great plays. Devontae Smith's been a fantastic rookie.
Excellent. All right, let's move over to the tight end position. Adam starts. Take it away.
Going with the usual here lately, Pat Freiermuth, man, Big Ben's favorite target in the red zone. They get down. He likes to look for the big guy, Pat Freiermuth, in the end zone. We mentioned how Baltimore gives up all these passing yards. So I expect Freiermuth to continue his little touchdown streak. I think he scored 5 out of the last 6 games, and I think that continues. And then I look for Logan Thomas to bounce back coming off his injury. He played last week. I don't think they used him 100%, but I think this week he gets back on track, and they're going to need to score some points. I think this could be a shootout game with the Raiders. So Logan Thomas has had tons of targets early in the season before his injury. I think Heineke looks for him again today. And another guy, he's one of the big names, but he had a really down week last week, so I don't want people to be down on him this week. That's George Kittle. He only had 1 catch last week, but prior to that, he scored a touchdown in 3 straight games. And going against Seattle today with Deebo Samuel out, they're going to need Elijah Mitchell, George Kittle, and Brandon Ayuk to make all the plays today. So I really like Kittle to get back in the end zone once more.
Outstanding analysis. Joe starts of the week. Tight end Zach Ertz versus the Bears. Pat Freiermuth versus the Ravens, and Logan Thomas against the Raiders. So here's another dilemma that I have. I have Zach Ertz on my roster and Hawkinson from the Lions. And Hawkinson has been very dependable for me this year. But I'm kind of thinking maybe I should start Ertz over Hawkinson. And in fact, in one of the lineups that I played around with earlier in the week, I had them both in the lineup with Ertz at the
Flex.
Yes, the flex position. So any advice for me on what I should do at that tight end position?
I actually would kind of lean Ertz over Hawkinson in that situation. Ertz has been really good. The Cardinals, Kyler Murray, they only played 2 games together, I think, before Kyler was hurt. And I believe Ertz scored in both of them, and one of them was a huge game. And we know Chicago's never that great against tight ends. You know, Roquan's great in the middle of the field, but he can't do everything. So,
and he's not playing today.
Is he not playing? I knew he was questionable.
Well, yeah, I'm assuming that he's not playing. So we'll take a look at
even more reason to fire up Zach Ertz. I think without Roquan, I would definitely play Zach Ertz over Hawkinson. The Detroit offense just hasn't been consistent enough, and that's really hurt Hawkinson since the start of the season.
All right, now we get to that category where we talk about guys to sit, and this can be painful for some of you guys because you might have these guys in your lineup already. We'll see if Adam can talk you out of it if you've got any of these guys. Go ahead, Adam.
Okay, a couple guys from the same team here from the Buffalo Bills. Cole Beasley and Devin Singletary are both guys I'm sitting this week. They're going against the New England defense, which has been the number 1 defense in the NFL for most of the season, especially the last 5 or 6 weeks. They're just dominating everybody. I think this is going to be a really great game between Josh Allen and Mac Jones. But Cole Beasley, his numbers have been down for the last month or so, and I think New England kind of prevents that short passing game that Cole Beasley likes. They try to make you beat them with the harder stuff, the stuff you're not great at. So I think they get some turnovers actually on Josh Allen trying to go downfield. So I think it kind of takes Beasley out of the game. And Devin Singletary, the Buffalo just doesn't run the ball well. And versus defense, I don't see them getting anything going consistently on the ground. So if anything, I would actually play Matt Breida over Devin Singletary if I had to play a Buffalo running back just for the passing game work I think he could get. And then another guy, we love Russell Wilson, but man, ever since he's come back from this finger injury, he just does not look right. He's not throwing the ball well. I thought he would break out of it last week, and he did not at all. So I think you just can't play Russell Wilson until we see him look right and healthy again. So I think he remains on the bench till we see a great game.
Yeah, his performance is definitely affected by that injury. Let's go over to Joe's sits. Darrell Williams versus the Broncos, Garoppolo versus the Seahawks, Williams versus Cincinnati, and Dawson Knox versus the Patriots. Anyone surprise you here, Adam?
I'm a little surprised by Garoppolo because I think Garoppolo could have a decent game there. Like I said, with throws to Kittle and Ayuk, I think he could still have a nice game. But his ceiling's kind of capped. He's never going to be a 300-yard, 5-touchdown type of guy like you might get from Tom Brady or something. But I think he gives you a safe floor. So I'm a little surprised by that, but it's not crazy either. Mike Williams is kind of boom or bust, so I totally understand that one. Dawson Knox again, Buffalo versus New England, tough matchup. And Darrell Williams, Clyde Edwards-Helaire came back last week, so he seemed to get his job back right away as well. And he scored, he caught the ball. So Darrell Williams took a cut there to his touches, so I understand that one as well.
Makes sense. Absolutely. All right, let's move on now to the sleepers of the week. Adam, you've got 4 guys here. Take us through them.
All right. Well, one guy you mentioned a minute ago, Van Jefferson, that Joe had. I think he's a guy that people have maybe been rostering but are never too confident to play. But we've seen the targets go up and up, again, with the injuries at wide receiver. I think he could have a really great game today. Javonte Williams is a guy that I don't know if you did not necessarily say he's a sleeper, but he's been somebody that people have been hoping for all season, like just get Melvin Gordon out of the way. Well, Melvin Gordon's out of the way this week and hurt. And this is Javonte Williams' chance to take over that role. They could be in playing from behind versus the Chiefs tonight. And Javonte Williams is a great pass catcher. He makes plays once he gets the ball in his hands. So I really look for Javonte to have his breakout game tonight and make it really tough on them getting Melvin Gordon back with that 50-50 touch share he's been getting. And then another guy, Darren Waller, appears to be out for the Raiders, and in his place is going to be Foster Moreau. We've seen in the past when Darren Waller has missed games, Foster Moreau has stepped in and played very well. I could easily see him catching a touchdown today, so he's a great tight end sleeper if you have a guy on a bye week or you had Darren Waller. Hopefully you picked up Foster Moreau because I think he can fill right in for you and give you an easy, safe floor at tight end. And then another one's Kyle Pitts. Been very disappointing to a lot of people. 1 touchdown on the whole year. Hasn't even seen a red zone target in 5 or 6 weeks, I believe. But in a game where we know Tampa Bay's weakness is in the passing game, I think they're going to have to throw the ball a lot. So he's going to get a lot of targets. So I think he could at least get you a good chunk of yardage, if not in the end zone. So I would still play Kyle Pitts this week and don't be too worried about it.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, let's see what Joe's got in the sleeper department. DJ Dallas versus San Francisco. Here's a guy who is kind of upcoming. He had 5 targets, I believe, last week. Any thoughts on DJ Dallas?
He does look really good when he catches the ball. He's great in the passing game. Again, Seattle's been banged up in the backfield as they always are. Carson's out for the year. Rashad Penny's always hurt. Sounds like they've even signed Adrian Peterson this week and brought him up to the active squad today. So they need DJ Dallas probably in the passing game. It's basically Alex Collins, who has also been banged up. So it's going to be Alex Collins, DJ Dallas, and maybe a few snaps to Adrian Peterson, I would guess. But DJ Dallas could definitely catch some balls today, and he looks great when he does.
And Cole Kmet versus the Cardinals, I think, is a great sleeper play. We've seen he had an outstanding week last week. Cole did. The week prior, he was hardly targeted at all. So I think the only thing that can stop Cole Kmet right now is Matt Nagy's scheme and what they call, because I really do believe that Cole Kmet is starting to get the offense, understand all of his responsibilities. Of course, the tight end has so many responsibilities, blocking and catching and so forth. He's starting to get it, and I like this play against Arizona. You agree with that?
I 100% agree with that. I think you're exactly right. The only thing that holds Cole Kmet back right now is Matt Nagy. When he gets the targets, he has made plays this year, and you can really see him develop. And I feel great about the future of Cole Kmet and Justin Fields once Nagy's out of the way.
Tua Tagovailoa. I think I said that right, but I might have hesitated a little bit in between one of those syllables. Anyways, Tua against the Giants. What do you think about the lefty quarterback going against the Big Apple Giants?
I really like him. Like I said, I think he hasn't gotten the credit he deserves this year. People have been down on Tua. I think maybe some because of the Deshaun Watson talk where, Miami is rumored to be interested in him. But Tua has played very consistent. He doesn't turn the ball over a lot. He makes safe throws. He has a great relationship with Jalen Waddle. I believe they're getting Devontae Parker back today as well. Yeah. So he has great weapons between Waddle, Parker, Gesicki. Tua just plays nice, consistent football, and I think he's a great play.
Yep. And Josh Reynolds versus the Vikings. This is an interesting pick by Joe. You got any thoughts on Josh Reynolds?
He could easily step in and play that role today. He was a great receiver we've seen in the past. And I think he could definitely do that today for Detroit. They're going to need somebody to catch the ball out there. They just really have no weapons at wide receiver, so I think they need him. So Josh Reynolds could definitely step in. He was very useful for the Rams the last few years.
Very good. All right. I think we've got through everything. Did I miss anything?
I think we got through all the starts and sits. And
how about that? Holy cow. So let's check to see what kind of questions we've got. We've got an interesting question here from Connor. He is asking you to pick 2 players, David Montgomery, Jamal Williams, James Robinson, and Javonte Williams. He's got quite a stable of running backs there, doesn't he?
Yeah, that's a pretty good problem to have there, Connor. Connor always has good problems here every week. He's always got questions, and they're tough ones because he has a really good roster, it seems. I mentioned I really like Javonte Williams today as one of them. I think he would be one. And, man, Jamal Williams, Montgomery. Man, this is really tough, Connor. You got 4 great choices.
It really does.
Yeah, I like Javonte Williams, and then I think I would probably take Jamal Williams as well. I'm starting both of those guys on a team actually as my 2 running backs this week. Jamal Williams should see a ton of work. We've seen DeAndre Swift, who's out, getting 25 touches at minimum a week between rushing and passing. Mm-hmm. Jamal Williams has always been good in the passing game for Green Bay. So I really got high hopes for Montgomery, but I think the safer bet would be the two Williams today in this game. James Robinson has a little bit of a tough matchup versus the Rams.
Yeah, you know what the thing with Montgomery is that my concern is that Arizona is going to get off to a quick lead, and the Bears are going to go away from that run game. So it's a tough to go with David Montgomery. I like the two guys that you've picked. Now, Connor has complicated things even further by adding Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith, Brandon Ayuk, Darnell Mooney, or depends on which two running backs, but I can play either the two you don't pick for flex. So take us through this list of guys: Waddle, Devontae Smith, Brandon Ayuk, and Darnell Mooney.
Well, again, four good choices there. Out of those four, I like Jalen Waddle and Brandon Ayuk today. I like Jalen Waddle's a must start every week, in my opinion. He's top 20 wide receiver on the season at this point. And he's a must start, especially as long as Tua is playing. So it's Waddle and Ayuk for me, based on the fact Deebo Samuel's out today. Devontae Smith, Jalen Hurts is not going to be playing, it doesn't sound like. So I think that takes a little bit of a step down him. I don't know how much time Devontae Smith and Gardner Minshew have really practiced together with Hurts being the quarterback all year. So I would play Waddle and Ayuk out of those. Mooney, I think, could have a solid game today, but I would stick with Waddle and Ayuk.
And he just added that he needs 3 from that list. So
then I would probably take Mooney as the third.
Yeah. I got high hopes for Mooney today because the team will probably be trailing. Allen Robinson is officially out for today's game. And by the way, Roquan Smith is going to play, and Tevin Jenkins is on the active roster, so we may get to see him too. Not that he's going to help with fantasy points, although if he gets in there at pass blocking, he might hurt. I'm just a little leery. Hopefully he's looked good in practice, so if he gets in there, he can start playing at a level we'd all like to see as Bears fans. But I do believe that even Andy Dalton might be a good sleeper play. I mean, he put up 300 yards last week. He's got a full week of practice, unlike what he had last week, where he didn't really have any practice at all heading into that Thanksgiving Day game against the Lions. So if with a full week of practice, knowing that he's up against the Cardinals, he might be good for 250 and a touchdown or two, and Darnell Mooney could be in for a good day. Not a great day, but a good day.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that totally. I definitely think the Bears could be behind by a substantial amount in the first half of this game, and the second half could be just a whole lot of targets to Darnell Mooney.
Yep. And Connor asked, sit Monty over Mooney? Ooh, that's an interesting question.
That is tough. I mean, based on what we just said, although I kind of think I would. I think Mooney's going to see more guaranteed targets than. I mean, the only hope really is that somehow the Bears grind this out and keep it close, and then you're going to get Montgomery a lot. But you never know how much they're going to throw to Montgomery. If they get behind and they dump it off to him a lot, it could be a huge day for Montgomery. Mm-hmm. But I think Andy Dalton likes to throw the ball deep. I think Mooney can get deep today, especially late in the game when they're behind. So I really do think I might play Mooney over Montgomery.
DJ McGraw asked the question, will Darrell Henderson play today? And I just saw Adam Schefter say that the Rams are not optimistic he will play. So I would keep him out of your fantasy lineup. That's an afternoon game, right?
Yeah. I'm definitely avoiding Darrell Henderson today. I think it's a Sony Michel day. If you've had Sony Michel on your bench, today's the day to fire him up. I think he could have a really big game versus Jacksonville. Jacksonville's defense has been a little bit underrated, but the Rams' offense is very high-powered, and I think Sony Michel can do the same job Darrell Henderson does, but I do not expect Henderson to play.
Okay. We've got a couple of minutes here before – actually, yeah, we've got a couple of minutes here before we got to say goodbye. I got a question for you, Adam. Let's say for those leagues that have expanded the trade deadline into this week, is there a player or two that you see as a sleeper that perhaps you can pry away from somebody's lineup, somebody that you would say – man, if you can get this guy into your lineup, I forecast that upcoming for the playoff weeks and so forth, he'd be a great guy to have on the roster. Because one of the things I've done over the years, especially when I know I'm going to get into the playoffs, is I look at the schedules for all of my key guys, who they're going to be playing against during the playoffs. And if they have really, really tough teams to play against during the fantasy playoff weeks, I start shopping them around to see if I can pick up a player who is going through better matchups. Have you given that any thought at all in terms of maybe targeting a player off somebody else's roster?
Yeah, I did that this week with a player and a guy we just spoke of, and we actually said not to play today, but David Montgomery is the guy I've targeted because of the schedule here the last few weeks and in the playoffs. I don't have it off the top of my head right now, but I remember the last 3 or 4 weeks, the Bears have a fantastic schedule against defenses that we should be able to run the ball against. And so I personally this week, I was able to take my banged up DeAndre Swift and throw in a Latavius Murray who is healthy and pick up David Montgomery because I don't feel real good about DeAndre Swift the rest of the season. I think he's going to miss at least another week. And I mean, he's the Lions' best player. They don't have a single win. I kind of find it hard to believe they would risk him too much at the end of the year.
Yeah.
So I looked at that as one player I would go after was David Montgomery strictly because of the schedule. We saw this last season. He literally carried teams to championships in the last month of last year with all his rushing and touchdowns he was getting. And I think he could do the same this year.
Right. Another thing that I've done in years past is if I'm really strong at one position, then I'm looking to unload. Like, for instance, with Kyler Murray and Kirk Cousins, if I'm convinced that Murray is going to be able to go the entire playoffs, I might gamble then and trade away Kirk Cousins and package him with another player for a 2-for-1 deal and try to get a strong player back from a team that's struggling to make the playoffs. You know, using that strategy can help fortify your team for the playoff weeks. You just got to find somebody else to make that deal with.
Absolutely. I 100% subscribe to that theory. It's kind of like what I call like a consolidation trade. You take a couple of your good players and package them together for one great player so you can upgrade one spot in your lineup while giving someone else 2 good players that gives them depth that they can put into their lineup. And that's the way you have to sell it. You have to say, look, these 2 guys can go right into your lineup. You make up more points than you're losing by sending that guy to me. And those guys were sitting on your bench most likely anyway. So it's a win-win for both teams. And that's exactly what I try to do, especially this time of year, because you can have all the great players you want, but you can only play so many. And, you know, that having 3 great wide receivers on your bench doesn't do you much good, except give you regrets when they score points.
Exactly. You're kicking yourself over. I should have started him. No,
right.
Get rid of him and bring in, a stud, and you won't have any regrets at all.
Take those guys to the owner that needs wide receivers but has 2 or 3 great running backs and upgrade your running back position.
There you go. I like what Connor says here. He says his best play today is the Indianapolis defense against the Jets.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I think the Colts are going to have a great bounce back week from that disappointing loss last week. All right, Adam, I want to get you out of here because I know you got a very busy day ahead of you. And the great thing about finishing at 11 o'clock, I can post this and people can get a chance to take a look at it before kickoff and hopefully pick up some great information because you delivered yet again for us. Thank you very much, Adam. Any final words?
No, just want to say thank you to everybody that tuned in again, and thank you to you, Aldo, for jumping in for Joe this morning. Did a great job. We moved through that quick, and I think we got a lot of information across. And yeah, that's great. People still have an hour to come back and look at it and make their choices. And wish everybody the best of luck today. And let's finish off these last 2 weeks and get in the playoffs.
Excellent, Adam. Good luck with your teams today, and good luck with everyone who will watch today. Good luck with your teams. Hopefully you come back with some winners, and let us know next week how you did. For all of us here at the Barroom Network, got a couple of late comments here. What's up, boys? Great stream. Play one. Okay, quick question. Play one. DK, Pittman, or Renfro?
Playing just one. I'm going Pittman. He was one of my starts of the week. I think Pittman has a good game today. Yeah, it's between Pittman and Renfro right now, but I think I play Pittman. DK, the Seattle offense is broken right now. We saw he got 3 targets last week and 1 catch.
Yes, it's exactly right. It is so painful that you have DK Metcalf on your squad and you're not starting him because Adam put it perfectly. That offense is just broken. All right, we got that one in, and we are now off the air. We'll play the final credits and say goodbye. Goodbye.
Bye, guys.